War is waged at range and up close in Konflikt 47. This tutorial examines the rules on how exactly to play out a tabletop battle with a particular focus on close quarters combat. The shooting procedure in Konflikt 47 is by and large the same as that of Bolt Action 3rd edition with a couple of alterations. Check out Bolt Action Tutorial 4 to see in detail how the shooting procedure works. The two major differences in Konflikt 47 are as follows. When a unit has received an order die to fire or advance, players may measure any distances to and from their unit before executing that order, so it is often possible to determine if your firing models are in range before you declare their target. If a unit of infantry includes one or more weapons with a penetration bonus, then models equipped with them can direct their fire against a single separate enemy unit, regardless of the target chosen by the other models equipped with small arms weapons in their unit. This enables a unit to split its fire between two different enemy units. Useful, for instance, when a unit that is otherwise equipped with small arms has an anti-tank weapon and an armoured target is nearby. You must declare all targets for all firing weapons in a unit before proceeding to the target react step. Note also that a weapon that has a pen value of +1 or more and has the assault special rule applies that pen bonus when in close quarters combat as well. There are many weird and wondrous weapon types fielded in Konflikt 47, and I leave it to you, dear viewer, to inspect these for their exact in-game effects at your leisure. One type of weapon, the anti-tank launcher, is worth mentioning, however, to clear up any possible misunderstandings, especially for those of you who also play Bolt Action where they are played a little differently. Anti-tank launchers are disposable weapons that a unit can only fire a limited number of times. For example, the Panzerfaust is a rocket-propelled anti-tank grenade that has been so successful for the Axis that it has been copied by everybody else. If a unit of infantry is equipped with anti-tank launchers, then one model in the unit per order issued is allowed to fire an anti-tank launcher in place of its usual weapon. If the owning player desires, the unit can opt to fire off all of its anti-tank launchers in the same turn, keeping none back for use in later turns. In this case, roll a d6 to determine how many models can use anti-tank launchers this turn and mark the unit as out of ammo for its anti-tank launchers. If the number rolled exceeds the number of models in the unit, reduce the result accordingly. Roll to determine the number of shots before declaring a target for the firing unit. This could be two different target units if taking advantage of the high penetration weapons rule. Note that this differs from Panzerfausts in Bolt Action, where each individual shot is purchased and tracked. In Konflikt 47, each model in the unit must purchase an anti-tank launcher and they either have them or they don't. No keeping track of each individual weapon. To reiterate, if all are fired in one go, then that unit cannot use its anti-tank launchers for the rest of the game. Otherwise, it can keep shooting one per turn. Just as with the shooting phase, the Konflikt 47 close quarters procedure is identical with that of the 3rd edition of Bolt Action. This is detailed in Tutorial 6, and everything is played out as described there until you get to Step 6, Resolve Draws. If neither side causes more casualties than the other, the result is a draw. Immediately fight another round of close quarters combat. Following a drawn combat, any defensive position bonuses are lost. If this second round result is also a draw, leave the models locked in combat for now, as events elsewhere on the battlefield intervene, draw the next order die, and proceed with the game turn. After the next order die has been assigned and its effect resolved, any units locked in combat fight up to 2 more rounds of close quarters. Repeat this sequence after each order die has been drawn and resolved until one side or the other emerges victorious. The following rules apply to units that are locked in close quarters. Units that are issued an order while locked in close quarters can only shoot if they move away first. Vehicles that are issued an order while locked in close quarters with any other unit can freely move away. Infantry that are issued an order while locked in close quarters with a vehicle can move away freely. Infantry with the flight special rule that are issued an order while locked in close quarters with the enemy infantry can freely move away unless the enemy infantry also have the flight special rule. In any other situation, units may not move away from close quarters, but may voluntarily flee after 2 rounds of close quarters combat have been fought. If they do so, they immediately count as being destroyed, as if they had lost the combat. Units remaining locked in combat that are issued an order must be issued a run order, and will immediately fight up to 2 more rounds of close quarters combat, as described previously. Shooting into an ongoing close quarters combat is a dangerous prospect. A line of fire must still be able to be drawn to an enemy unit in order to fire at it. Templates affect models beneath them as normal. For other types of shooting, divide hits equally between the locked units before proceeding to roll for damage. If there's an odd number of hits, roll a d6. On a 4+, that hit is assigned to the target enemy unit, otherwise it is assigned to the friendly unit. New units cannot join an ongoing locked close quarters combat until it has been resolved by the destruction or withdrawal of one of the units. Once the victor of the close quarters has been established, continue with the winner making a regroup move before concluding that particular close quarters combat. Even in the face of impossible odds, desperate soldiers can find ways to hurt any foe at close quarters.
Bloody Jerry armor!
If rolls of 6 to damage would have no effect on enemy infantry models due to their having a damage value of 7 or higher, roll the dice for damage anyway. Pick up any dice that rolled a 6 and roll them again. Any dice that roll a 6 a second time score damage regardless of the enemy's damage value. Some units, particularly those only armed with tooth and claw, want to get into close quarters above all else, but may want to lurk in ambush for the ideal opportunity to strike. Infantry units that are in ambush can interrupt any move made by any enemy unit within 6 inches of the unit in order to assault it. The ambushers do not need to be able to trace a line of sight to the target unit at that point. Simple 6-inch proximity is enough. The player whose units are in ambush declares when they want their unit to charge. The target unit's move is interrupted and its models positioned accordingly. The ambushing player flips the unit's ambush order die to run and moves the models in their unit up to 6 inches to make contact with the enemy unit. This counts as a surprise charge, so the target cannot react. The target unit's move is halted, and any further movement in this action will be limited to a regroup move if it wins the subsequent close assault. If a unit in ambush is assaulted, it can react by shooting at the attackers, even if they are less than 6 inches away, or by charging into an assault and engaging the attacking enemy up to 6 inches away from the ambushing unit's starting position. If it charges the assaulting unit, any defensive position bonuses are lost. An important unit special rule pertaining to close quarters is the Tough Fighters rule. When Tough Fighters are fighting at close quarters, they roll 1 additional die each when rolling for damage. Veterans of bolt action should take note, as this does differ from the version of this rule presented there. Assault moves initiated by and against tanks is covered in the bolt action tutorial on close quarters, and so won't be repeated here. Walkers, however, have their own set of assault rules which will be presented here. When assaulting infantry with a walker, the target unit must make a morale check or rout. In other words, it is destroyed. If the unit makes this check, the walker will make close quarters strikes against the infantry unit as it moves into and through it. Walkers make 1 attack per functional arm and 1 attack per pair of legs, up to a maximum of 4 attacks in total. Each attack hits on a roll of 4, 5, or 6. When rolling to damage, legs have a penetration value of +2, whereas arms have a penetration value of +4. The infantry unit does not fight back in this case. An artillery piece that is assaulted by a vehicle is automatically destroyed whether its morale check is passed or not. But if the test is passed, any surviving crew may be able to recrew other weapons within 12 inches. If the test is failed, they are also destroyed. When resolving a vehicle assault, walkers roll 1 die per functional arm and 1 die per pair of legs, up to a maximum of 4 dice. Don't forget to resolve reaction fire if applicable. After picking their highest dice roll, a walker adds the following bonuses to their result: +2 for each functioning arm, +1 per pair of functioning legs, plus the walker's damage value. If the loser of a vehicle assault involving a walker is soft-skinned or is an armoured vehicle with the open top special rule, then it is destroyed automatically. If the loser is an armoured vehicle, roll on the appropriate armoured vehicle damage table to determine damage. Note that winners may also take damage. If the loser has a damage value greater than the winner, then the loser takes superficial damage. If the loser has a damage value equal to or lower than the winner, then the loser takes full damage. If the winner has a damage value greater than the loser, the winner takes no damage. If the winner has a damage value equal to or lower than the loser, the winner also suffers superficial damage. Let's see how all this works with an example. Here we have a Jackal Light Walker. It decides to assault a Wotan Super Heavy Walker. The Jackal has a damage value of 8, 2 arms and 2 legs for a total of plus 13 to its 3 rolls. It rolls a 5, and a 6. Choosing the highest result of 6 puts its grand total to 19 for the damage roll. The Wotan has a damage value of 11 and has 6 legs for a total of plus 14, and it too receives 3 rolls. However, it only rolls 2 1s and a 2 for a grand total of 16. Though the Jackal wins the fight, only superficial damage is scored against the heavier walker. Due to the loser being heavier than the winner, the Jackal also takes superficial damage as well. Carefully choosing what targets to assault with walkers is important. Once the assault has been resolved, any surviving vehicles come to an immediate halt. Each vehicle is assigned a down order. Each surviving vehicle receives 1 pin marker in addition to any already taken either from reaction fire or from any damage results incurred during the assault. If a walker's assault attacks a loaded transport, the passengers must dismount in the same way as when assaulted by enemy infantry. The walker will then perform an overrun on the dismounting unit, or the largest unit if there are more than one, with its maximum number of attacks, regardless of the number of models in the unit being overrun. Resolve the walker's attacks, and then move the passengers aside as normal. The walker then resolves the assault against the transport itself. Walkers make a terrifying prospect to assault, as they can actively fight back at close quarters. If assaulting infantry attack a walker that is not immobilized, the walker makes close quarters attacks of its own. The walker's attacks are resolved, and any casualties are removed before the assaulting infantry has a chance to roll for their own attacks. Walkers make 1 attack per functional arm, and 1 attack per pair of legs, up to a maximum of 4 total attacks. When defending against assaulting infantry, these attacks hit automatically. When rolling to damage, legs have a pen value of plus 2, and arms have a pen value of plus 4. Once the vehicle has made any reaction fire, and walkers have made their attacks, roll a d6 for each surviving infantry model. Hits against vehicles are not scored automatically at close quarters. If the vehicle is on down, fire, or ambush orders, is immobilized or has yet to receive an order, each attack will score a hit on a die roll of 4, 5, or 6. If the vehicle is on an advance order, the assaulting troops must roll 6s to score hits. If the vehicle is on a run order, the assaulting troops automatically miss. If the assaulting infantry have the fast and or flight special rules, they hit a vehicle on an advance order on a 5 or a 6, and a vehicle on a run order on a 6. Count up the total number of hits scored by the assaulting infantry. If the vehicle is soft-skinned, or if it is an open-topped armoured vehicle, then it is destroyed automatically if any close quarters hits are scored. Against a fully enclosed armoured vehicle, roll a d6 and add the number of hits scored to the result. If the assaulting infantry unit benefits from any penetration bonus in close quarters, add the highest value available to the total. If the total equals or beats the vehicle's damage value, the vehicle is damaged. Roll on the full damage table. If the total beats the vehicle's damage value by 3 or more, roll for massive damage. However, if the assaulting unit does not have the Tank Hunter special rule, carries no weapons with the Assault special rule, or has no weapons, or weapons only usable in close quarters like claws, use the superficial damage results table instead. If a vehicle survives an infantry assault but is immobilized as a result, the vehicle must also immediately make a morale test. If the test fails, the crew attempts to flee and the vehicle is knocked out. If the vehicle is knocked out, any surviving infantry then make a 1d6-inch regroup move before ending their activation. If a walker inflicts any casualties with its attacks and itself is not destroyed as a result of the combat, the attacking infantry unit loses the combat and is immediately destroyed, unless it has a special rule that prevents this. If both infantry and vehicle survive the first round of close quarters combat, fight a second round of close quarters immediately. For this and any subsequent rounds of close quarters combat, infantry and walkers roll for their attacks simultaneously. If both units survive this second round as well, the assault is over for now, and the two units are locked in close quarters. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this tutorial series has proven to be a useful resource for learning how to play Konflikt 47, and an easy to use reference for when you need to look up a specific rule. If anything presented here is incorrect, please accept my apologies, as there's a lot packed in the 200 pages of the rulebook. If there are any rules that were not covered that you would like to see presented in a future tutorial, please do leave a comment. Though this is not supposed to be an exhaustive tutorial covering every single facet of the game, if enough of you clamour for extra details regarding an important part of the game, another tutorial or two may well be published. This presentation would not be possible without the support of the channel patrons over at Patreon. I salute you.